Hey guys, what is going on? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back with the daily video. This time talking about, quote unquote, the future of gaming, which, if you listen to the media and some of these developers and publishers out there, would tell you it's virtual reality, or VR for short, right? This isn't going to be a video about my impressions or what I think of virtual reality, because honestly I haven't used it yet, so I can't give a objective opinion about it. All I'm going to say is I want to try it in the comfort of my own home. I really don't want to go somewhere and put on, you know, the glasses that other people used, but I am really interested in trying out PSVR, Vive, and Rift. I kind of I've always wanted to experience VR, but this video is not about what I think of VR. It's about the financial viability of these platforms. And I want to start off by talking about Superdata. Now, you may have seen they came out recently with a report that basically said that the biggest loser of this holiday season is VR. And that they said that notably fewer units were sold than expected due to a relatively fragmented title lineup and modest marketing effort. They revised their forecast for 2016 for PlayStation VR from 2.6 million, which was absolutely ludicrous to anybody with the brain. So, like, okay, like, when they originally said that, I was like, you guys are crazy, to a more modest and somewhat kind of, I don't know, not very good number of 750,000. There are other estimates, though, for HTC Vive and Oculus Rift and Gear VR. They remain at 450,000, 355,000, and 2.3 million, respectively. Although Google's Daydream, apparently they revised down from 261,000. I think what I want to talk about is, like, is VR already dead? It's an interesting topic because for so long we've been told that VR is the future. VR is the future. It's the way you're going to play games. While I think it is cool in concept and I can't wait to play it, I don't really know if there's a market out there for gamers. This is gaming VR. This isn't just VR in general, because I think there are a lot of practical purposes for VR in general. This is strictly about gaming VR, because I do a gaming channel. And I don't know, like, you know, I heard through the grapevine, through some sources, that the numbers for, you know, PlayStation VR for October were pretty low. I mean, when the numbers I were told, I'll just give you a range, according to my source, was anywhere between 140,000 to 160,000. I know what the exact number is, but I'm not going to give up my source on that. I think that's a terrible number, and I know Sony, when pressed for the stuff, they never gave their forecast for it, and they always say it's on track. But an on track in financial terms and financial speak is always just basically a code word for telling investors not to panic. That we're on track, guys, everything is okay. But the question is it everything okay? I don't know if it is. Like, looking at these things, like 750,000 for the PlayStation VR, which is their forecast for Superdata, which, like I said, I heard an NPD for the launch month of PSVR, it sold between 140 and 160, which is not a good number. I mean, Oculus Rift at 355, HTC Vive at 450. Granted, HTC Vive is like $800. And this goes to what the problem with VR in general is: three things: price, games, and availability. Price on these things are absolutely ridiculous. PlayStation VR is the most mainstream pricing wise. Comes in at what, $400, but if you don't have a PlayStation, or if you don't have the camera and all that stuff, it's actually like $500. Rift is a little bit more expensive than that, I think at $600, and then Vive's at like $800 or $900, I'm not exactly sure. But those are expensive numbers. A lot of people can't afford that, and basically I didn't see any marketing from any of these guys this holiday. I mean, we just saw, you know, Xbox Ones and PlayStation Slims fly off, you know, the shelves for Black Friday, but yet I don't see any demand for PSVR or any of these other ones. And just to check, I did go and look on Target and Best Buy and Walmart and Amazon, and PlayStation VR is sold out on all those places. But I'm not sure if it's sold out because of demand. I think it's more sold out because Sony didn't ship enough. But the question remains is, why didn't they ship enough? What is the problem are they experiencing with their VR production that they would, you know, limit how much they could ship? Because people tell me, like, well, Rand, if they would have shipped more, they would have sold millions. But it's like, I don't know. Like, are they having trouble producing the units? Are they producing units and they're losing money on them? I don't think that's the case. Are they trying to create some sort of artificial demand by limiting the supply like Nintendo does with their products? Quite possibly. I think that's reasonable. Are they waiting for more PS4 Pros to get out in the market because VR works better with with the Pro rather than with, the standard PS4, which Sony disputed, but all the reports from like Digital Foundry say is the case? Maybe, but that's kind of a shitty thing to tell your consumer, that you need this better version of a system that you already bought so you can run PlayStation VR. I mean, honestly, like, the VR is the experience. That's why people are getting it. There isn't really a killer app on the system yet, and judging through people's reactions, on the internet, on Twitter, on forums, like, a lot of people don't really care for the games. So I'm not sure how this VR craze is supposed to translate to the mainstream. Yes, it is expensive, and yes, it would sell better at $200, $300, but they have to do that soon. I honestly think 2017 is the make it or break it year for VR. If it doesn't sell well, all three of them, and there's a lot of money poured into a lot of these products. Sony put a lot of money into this. Facebook put a lot of money into this. There's a lot of angel investors hoping that and praying that VR gets huge. I don't know if it's there. I don't know if consumers care about gaming VR. I don't know if gamers care about VR. And maybe we're just not ready for it yet. Maybe the technology's not there for it to be cheap enough. Maybe the games aren't there yet. Maybe they got to try again in a couple years. But man, when I look at that and I see those numbers, my first thought was, man, PSVR didn't do very well, or either to Vive or Oculus. I mean, you look at that Steam survey or whatever that came out a while ago, nobody was really playing VR games and nobody was buying them. And that's the problem. Like, these companies need to get VR in the hands of as many people as possible, so there's a group of people to sell it to, so devs want to make games for the people playing the system. If there's not any of that, if there's nobody buying the system, nobody make games for it. It's kind of like the Kinect scenario. Remember, Kinect sold 8 million units in 2 months, but eventually ended called a failure because nobody was really using it for what it was intended. Nobody was buying it for games, even though it sold a shit ton of units, way more than any of these VR devices sold. And I know the argument, well, it was $150. I'm just saying it was the last accessory that sold extremely well, because in most cases, accessories to video game systems don't sell well and they're not supported. But the question is, VR dead? I think we're almost at the point. I think next year is the make it or break it year. I don't know how it can go on beyond that. They need to get the prices of these systems down. They need to get actually AAA experiences or that killer app on that platform for people to actually want to purchase it. Otherwise, I don't see VR going past the super hardcore that has a lot of money. And, I always hate seeing things fail and devs and stuff, so I do want it to be a success. I just don't know if it can be a success. I'm looking forward to trying out when I get one. So, anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you want to see more content, please subscribe to the channel. Later.